Hey babes, how's it going? So you know last week I did a video where I just flew around in Space Engine giving myself astrophobia? Well this week I thought I'd do the flip side of that coin where I fly around in Space Engine but instead of going ah, I go ah. Stick around, I'm taking you to some of my favourite places in the galaxy. Let's do it. Alright, first up, Earth. Oh my god, what a location. I know this one's kind of obvious, but there are very few places with all the things that the Earth has. Stable climate, huge amount of liquid water, an atmosphere rich in oxygen, rainforests, coral reefs, pizza places, we've got everything here. Alright, check it out, let me go down to the surface. Huh. Can't have shit in Azerbaijan apparently, or wherever the fuck this is meant to be. Anyway, the Earth is beautiful. Arguably even more beautiful if you look at it from the moon. See, since the moon is tidally locked to the Earth more or less stays in the same place in the sky over time. You know, like sometimes you'll be sitting in your living room and you'll look out the window and the moon will be in the sky, but most of the time it won't be there. And if you wait 24 hours since you last saw the moon and look again, it'll be in a similar place, but not exactly the same place. Right, it kind of meanders around a lot in the sky. But if you live on the moon and you look at the Earth, that doesn't really happen. So I'm just saying, if you wanted to build a house on the moon, you could build it with a permanent view of the Earth that's not really going to change that much, so that's pretty cool. Next up I want to look at Saturn. Now we all know that Saturn has rings and those are incredible. I think Saturn is probably the best looking planet of the entire solar system minus maybe the Earth, just because Saturn's so spectacular. But did you know that the rings actually go substantially further than you can normally see? Well, now you do. Just gotta backlight it with the sun. You can thank Enceladus for belching out a bunch of ice at faster than terminal velocity. Normally it's pretty hard to tell that the rings aren't just one solid object, but they are countless, I don't know, billions or trillions of individual little asteroids somewhere between the size of a house and a grain of dust. But shove the camera far enough in there and you can just about tell. Some of the most incredible pictures ever taken of Saturn's rings come from the Cassini spacecraft. I particularly like these images where a moon is skirting by the rings and the gravity of the moon causes a wake to form in the rings, like a wave on the ocean. It's so cool. Anyway, in Space Engine you can see there are actually a few little asteroid moons that are kind of between two sections of the ring system. So if you go to those moons and you stand on the right place, you can actually see that you're inside of the ring system, which is a very cool and unique perspective to have. Lastly, and while this isn't really viewable from any of Saturn's moons, I do want to give a quick shout out to the giant hexagon that Saturn has. The fuck is the deal with this? How the shit do you end up with a hexagonal vortex? That's crazy. The hexagon's bigger than our entire planet. Actually it's caused because hexagons are yeah, I know there's the physics reason, but I'm asking you to just enjoy the weirdness and the mystery. Look at it and just ask yourself, what the fuck, man? That's what I'm talking about, baby. Okay, I was going to talk about Haumea for a while because it's a cool oblong looking dwarf planet that not that many people really know about, and it's got a ring system. I was hoping that if you stand on it, it would look kind of weird and cool because you'd have some kind of unusual looking horizon, but it turns out it actually looks pretty normal when you've landed on it. So in a video about spectacular views, this one maybe isn't really up there. So I'm going to go straight to another star system, TRAPPIST-1. I'm on the record as really liking the TRAPPIST-1 star system. Now if you've not heard about TRAPPIST-1, this is a real solar system and all the planets are definitely there. The star is a red dwarf and all the planets are really close to it. And since everything is so close together in this star system, it's really closer to the scale of a planetary system. Even the furthest planet that we know of is a lot closer to the TRAPPIST-1 star than Mercury is to our sun. And the fact that everything's so close together means that you can stand on one of these planets and you can look up into the sky and you can clearly see all the other planets. Like, it's actually insane how well you can pick out continents and stuff on the other worlds. I don't think it would have taken as long to figure out that our planet is not the center of the universe if we lived in a star system like this. Because you'd be able to not only see all the other planets in the same way that we can see the moon, but also you can see them rotating. Like our moon, we always see the same side of it, so it's not even necessarily obvious that it's spherical. But that perspective on the universe would just be obvious if you lived in this star system. And there are 2 or maybe 3 planets in this system that are maybe habitable. Like the center of mass of where these planets are is around about where the habitable zone is for this solar system. So it's not inconceivable that there could be some life there, although red dwarfs do tend to have a lot of like instability, solar flare, radiation type stuff. So also a lot of these planets could potentially be tidally locked to their star. So a lot of these planets might end up having one scorched side and one frozen side, but you could still potentially have life on the twilight rim going all the way around the planet. Regardless, it makes for an amazing view, particularly when you can see all the planets not only at the same time, but like lined up as though they're like a linear pattern in the sky. I mean, it's all just because they're all part of the same roughly flat plane that they're orbiting on, but it's spectacular to look at. Next up, I went looking for hypothetical locations, which are exactly the kind of thing that we know exist, even though the exact ones that I'm going to show show you are hypothetical. A lot of this stuff's just too far away for us to have good data on right now, but this type of thing definitely exists. Now, first up, I wanted to just show you an example of something kind of vaguely Earth-like, but not exactly Earth-like, just kind of a terrestrial planet with an atmosphere and with a moon and with a sun-like star, but just with a very different looking sky. Particularly, this one has a ring system, and the moon that it's got is a lot closer than ours is, and it's got a bunch of other smaller asteroid-sized moons, so you just end up with this very weird but very beautiful looking sky. Like, not only is it beautiful, but for some reason, I always find myself wondering how human culture would have developed differently if our sky looked like some alien sky. Like, the moon and the sun and the stars all played a big part in how certain cultures view humanity and our place in the universe. How would religions be different if the Earth had a ring system, or the moon was massive? What would different nations and cultures and faiths have thought that they were? Would they think it's a bridge going over the world or something? Like, what in their mind, what would they think that is? It's really cool to think about, as well as just being cool for what it actually is from a physics perspective. Another cool one that I found is that I went looking for a planetary system inside of a nebula, and if you do that, you can find some incredibly striking starscapes where like half of the entire sky at night is just filled with red or blue or green, cloudy, swirly patterns. Very cool. They would be quite dim, so I'm not exactly sure how much of this the human eye would be able to see, but I think to some degree you would have been able to see it, in the same way that it's kind of hard to see the Milky Way at night, but if you go somewhere dark enough you can see it. I think it would be a similar situation, but let me know in the comments if that's wrong. Maybe it would be too dark to see, I actually don't know. Regardless, if you can see it, it looks goddamn incredible, and exactly what it looks like depends on the exact star system and how close it is to a particular nebula, and also which nebula it is and what perspective you've got on it. Again, how would culture be different if we were inside of a nebula, so every different direction of the sky had this kind of dim red glow to it at night? What would our ancestors have thought that was? Or if it was like the example that you can see, only taking up kind of half of the sky, I don't know, would that have like emphasized a sort of yin-yang, good and bad cosmology in a lot of religions and stuff? I don't know, cool to think about. Sorry to interrupt, this is just a quick message to say, statistically speaking, you're probably not subscribed, so I'll make you a deal. Press the subscribe button and I won't come over to your house and do this. Alright, thanks, back to the video. And lastly, I wanted to move way outside the plane of the galaxy and go to one of these little glowing points that you can see here. These are globular clusters, basically a type of star cluster that exists outside of the main body of the galaxy. They're almost like tiny little galaxies unto themselves, and they're very dense with very bright stars all right next to each other. So if there was an Earth-like planet in the middle of one of these globular clusters, you'd probably be able to see the stars during the day. Imagine how cool that would be if you had an Earth-like blue sky with fluffy white clouds, but with really bright glowing stars as well. That on its own would be cool. But the even cooler thing is that if you go to a particularly far away globular cluster, or just any star system outside the plane of the galaxy, but you know, they tend to be grouped together in these clusters, you can see the Milky Way galaxy, much like how we can see it from our planet. But from the Earth, given our perspective in the galaxy, the Milky Way looks like a linear trail of stars going through the center of the sky. But if you were way above the plane of the galaxy, you could just sit there and see the entire spiral of the Milky Way, like a giant fucking whirlpool in the sky. How fucking cool would that be? You could sit on a planet and watch the galaxy rise or set. The skybox from the Ark in Halo 3 is literally a thing that you could actually see. Fucking insane. You know what else is insane? My elite level supporters. Thunderbolt 22A10, who flosses his teeth with quantum strings. Nomad Greg, who has count them, 3 butt cheeks. Andrew Maul, who knows God's middle name. John Bejarano, who was born when he fell out of a white hole. JDK, who knows how to assassinate someone just by breaking their ankles incredibly badly. Mutantious Doom, who gargles with quantum foam. Stormester Ritter, who causes explosions as a form of entertainment. Nikita Lurie, who can read the mind of pistachio nuts. Aaron Rowe, who just crashed a Zeppelin into my house. Bonk Chunk, who can use the 4th dimension as a musical instrument. And thanks to all my other supporters too. Don't forget to join the Patreon or the channel membership if you want to be featured in my video credits or chat on Discord. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Over and out.